Good evening. Tonight, we bring you an in-depth analysis of a developing international crisis that has sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles and sparked mass protests across 2 continents. President Donald Trump has announced sweeping tariffs targeting 8 European nations in an unprecedented move tied to American territorial ambitions in the Arctic. The tariffs, set to begin February 1st, 2026, mark what many analysts are calling one of the most audacious uses of economic pressure in modern diplomatic history. The announcement came during a White House press conference where President Trump unveiled a 10% tariff on imports from 8 European countries, with Denmark at the center of the controversy. The targeted nations include Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, Germany, France, and the Netherlands. But this is no ordinary trade dispute. The president made clear these tariffs serve one purpose: to pressure these nations into supporting the United States' acquisition of Greenland, the massive Arctic territory that has been part of the Kingdom of Denmark for over 300 years. The timeline is stark. Starting February 1st, a 10% tariff hits all imports from these 8 nations. If no deal is reached, those tariffs escalate to 25% on June 1st. For context, trade between the United States and these countries totals hundreds of billions of dollars annually. Denmark alone exports approximately $7 billion worth of goods to the U.S. each year. A 25% tariff would devastate numerous Danish industries, from pharmaceuticals to agriculture. This isn't President Trump's first attempt. In 2019, he proposed purchasing Greenland, only to be rebuffed by Danish officials who called the idea absurd. But the strategic logic is clear. Greenland sits at a crucial Arctic position between North America and Europe, holding vast deposits of rare earth minerals critical for modern technology. The island hosts Thule Air Base, essential for U.S. missile defense and Arctic surveillance. Climate change is opening new Arctic shipping routes and resource access, while Russia and China increase their presence in the region. For Washington, Greenland represents the key to Arctic dominance in the 21st century. Greenland's 57,000 residents, predominantly Inuit, govern most domestic affairs through their own parliament, though Denmark handles foreign policy and defense. While some Greenlanders discuss independence from Denmark, joining the United States has never been part of mainstream political discourse there. The European response has been swift and unified. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, standing alongside Greenland's Premier Mute Egede, declared, "Greenland belongs to the Greenlandic people. It is not Denmark's to sell, and it is certainly not America's to buy." Denmark will not be bullied into betraying the people of Greenland. The European Union is considering countermeasures, with talk of retaliatory tariffs and World Trade Organization complaints. NATO finds itself in an impossible position, with both the U.S. and Denmark as founding members. Germany and France, despite significant trade stakes, have taken strong public stances supporting Danish sovereignty. The streets of Copenhagen have erupted with protests, drawing over 100,000 people, some of Denmark's largest demonstrations in decades. Wave Danish and Greenlandic flags, chanting against what they view as American imperialism. In Nuuk, Greenland's capital, the reaction is complex. While most oppose American control, some see potential economic benefits, though polls show the vast majority prefer charting their own independent course. Youth activists have gone viral on social media with messages of self-determination. We are not a commodity to be bought. The economic stakes are staggering. Global markets have reacted nervously, with the euro weakening and European stocks experiencing volatility. Danish pharmaceutical companies face crippling costs on billions in U.S. exports. Lego's American business would be severely impacted. German automobiles, French luxury goods, Scandinavian seafood all face the tariff barrier. American consumers and businesses will also suffer as these costs get passed along through higher prices. U.S. retailers and manufacturers dependent on European imports are lobbying the administration to reconsider. If the EU retaliates, American exports from aircraft to agriculture to technology would face similar barriers, potentially slowing economic growth on both sides of the Atlantic. Beyond immediate economic damage, there's the precedent this sets. If economic coercion succeeds, what prevents similar tactics in future territorial disputes? International law scholars warn this approach could undermine the post-World War II order based on sovereign equality and diplomatic negotiation, rather than economic might makes right. From a security perspective, the administration's Arctic concerns are genuine. Russia is rebuilding Soviet-era Arctic bases, while China declares itself a near-Arctic state. Control of Greenland would give the United States unprecedented Arctic reach for shipping lanes, resources, and military positioning. However, critics argue that strong U.S.-Danish relations already provide these benefits without alienating European allies. The tariff strategy itself is a massive gamble. If European nations refuse to budge, which seems certain given the political impossibility of appearing to sell Greenland under coercion, the administration must either escalate into a full trade war or back down and face diplomatic defeat. International law increasingly recognizes self-determination. Any change in Greenland's status requires the consent of its people, who have made their opposition clear. The question becomes whether economic power can override both sovereignty and the will of the Greenlandic people themselves. As we approach the February 1st deadline, behind-the-scenes negotiations continue, though neither side shows signs of movement. European unity remains strong, even among nations typically aligned with Washington. This crisis tests fundamental questions about modern international relations. Can economic power override sovereignty? Will traditional alliances hold against transactional pressure? And most importantly, do the people of Greenland have a voice in their own future? What began as an unconventional proposal has become one of the most significant international confrontations in recent memory. As climate change reshapes the Arctic and great power competition intensifies, Greenland has become ground zero for larger struggles over resources, security, and self-determination. We'll continue following this story as it develops. Thank you for watching.